Well, what's up, everyone? Welcome into another edition of Sports Link Live right here on Facebook Live, sponsored by Stoops Buick GMC. I'm Matt Craig, and today we're talking some basketball with head coach James Whitford and Tayler Persons. We are 1 day away from the exhibition game, the preseason game, if you will, and only 9 days away from the start of the season. Coach Whit, we'll start with you. You're going into your fourth year here as a head coach at Ball State. I know you're a big process guy.
Yep.
Where is the Ball State program at in its development process in your fourth year?
We're I think starting this year in the best shape we've been of any of the four. We have the most returning players, most experience coming into the season. You have some guys like Franco House, who's going to be a 4-year starter for us, and there's just less new guys that are kind of learning from the beginning. And I feel like our talent level is the highest it's been, so I'm excited. I feel like we have a chance to have a good year.
And Tayler, for you, you haven't played a real competitive game against another team in a year and a half, over a year and a half. You're 1 day away from lacing it up against another team. What's going through your head at this point?
I'm just really excited. Like you said, it's been a long time. For me, sitting out a year and a half, it taught me a lot of things, and the passion for the game is there, so I'm just excited to be back out there with my team.
For those that haven't seen you, a lot of Ball State fans haven't seen you play. What describe your game for us? What are your strengths out there? What can people expect?
I just feel like I'm a guy that can do a little bit of everything. Get my teammates involved, score if I have to. I definitely have things I need to work on, but just a guy that's going to compete for 40 minutes and play as hard to get a win.
And Coach Whit, the style that you like to play, you ask the point guards to do a lot. What is Tayler going to have to do to be a successful point guard in your system?
He has, I'd say the biggest adjustment for Tayler is his greatest strength is his passion. He plays with incredible fire. He's incredibly competitive, and that's a wonderful trait. Allows him to be good, and by the way, can bring everybody with him. And learning how to manage that during the course of the game, where he can both use it to influence our team in a great way, but as the point guard, when you have a big play, you may celebrate for a minute, but you got to be able to lock into the next play. I got to call. I got to get my team organized for underneath out of bounds. I got to make sure transition defense we're set, and being able to kind of go play to play is probably the biggest thing. And other than that, he has what he needs to be successful. He's just got to be himself.
And we're talking about the way that you play point guard position. This Ball State team has a lot of shooters, a lot of shooting talent on the team. How does that help you as the point guard of the team?
For me, I have a lot of great shooters, like you said. We have a lot of guys that are really elite at that level. And for me, I like to get to the lane a lot, so it opens it up for me with people who have the ability to help so much. So it opens it up for me, and I can get them shots is something I'm pretty good at.
Coach, you got the exhibition game tomorrow against UND. Obviously, the stakes are a little bit lower, talent level maybe a little bit lower than some of your regular season games. What are you looking to see in this preseason game from your team before the season starts?
Well, I think all exhibition games are way more about you than the other team. But I will tell you, I have great respect for Indianapolis, and they've been ranked as high as #1 in the country several times in the last few years for Division II programs. So I think it'll be a very good test for us. But what I want us to do is really be able to perform under the lights the way we do every day in practice. And you're going to, for the first time, you start seeing a variety of different styles, some things you've never seen before, and you start dealing with the pressure of a real game. And just kind of get that under our belt and hopefully be able to do what we're capable of doing with the lights on.
You mentioned practice. I wanted to ask you, at what point do you start preparing for St. Louis or UND, even in this case, as opposed to just your regular practice, installing things, getting better as a team? When do you start focusing on that St. Louis game?
Generally speaking, a couple days before the game, is a pretty good guideline. And every program does it differently, but we try to think it's way more about us getting good at the things we want to get good at than it is about taking away or doing something different for another team. I want to be great at what we do. So up until a couple days before that game, we'll work on what we want to be good at and try to be able to impose our will on the other team by being great at the things that we do.
And Tayler, for you in practice, what are you focusing on? Is there a certain thing that you're really trying to get better at before the season starts?
Like he talked about, my passion and be able to control that and be able to help the team go next play. Also playing with pace, offensively and defensively, and just getting what my coach and what the coaching staff needs for me to do as a point guard. But I would say, like he said, the passion is to be able to go next play and not be so emotional and like let that affect my game. It's something I've been working on a lot.
Coach, one thing that you mentioned at Media Day that I thought was really interesting was how you keep stats of the practices. Where did you get that from, and how do you think that helps you?
We started doing it when I got with Sean Miller at Xavier, and I've been doing it ever since then, so a decade or 11 years of it. But I think what it does is you're trying to make every practice have a high intensity and a high level of accountability. You don't get better by going through the motions. You only get better by being completely engaged and dialed in and treating practice as if it's a game. And one of the ways that I think the practice stats help is, guys, there's an accountability system if a guy's taking a day off. If a guy's not completely engaged in practice, it's going to show up and it's going to matter. And that's why I think it provides the greatest benefit.
Off the court, before the season started, Tayler, we want to talk about you going back to Kokomo. Obviously, the town was hit with a devastating tornado, and you were out there the next day. What made you want to go out there and support your hometown? I
just felt like it was something that I could use my name a little bit to help and get people organized to help a disaster that happened in my city. We had a lot of people show a lot of love, and we made an impact for what we did. I've done that. I did that for the last tornado. Hopefully, I never have to do another disaster cleanup, but it was something to show like our youth of Kokomo really came out to help, and they stepped up in a big way.
And Coach Whit, for you, seen before the season here, walking around in high heels, just the Ball State team really represents the Muncie community in a big way. Do you feel that at all as the head coach of Ball State?
Yeah, 100%. Both as a passion for me and as a responsibility of being a head coach. It's my responsibility to help those guys show that reaching out to a battered women's shelter in Muncie is strength. To me, for a man to do that and show it to my players was an important step for me. And there was the value that I think our own team got out of it. And then there's the value that the community gets out of it. It's a great cause. And I think I've once heard it said that a society can be measured by how it treats its most vulnerable. And that's something a viewpoint that I respect. And I think it's our job as a community to make sure when we have people like that that are in need that we have resources there for them.
Back on the court, the basketball power index for conferences has MAC as the 10th best conference out of 32 in college basketball. And that's right behind the Power Fives. Then you got the Big East, Atlantic 10. You guys are right there. But there isn't a top 50 BPI team in the MAC. So for you, Coach, how do you see the competitiveness of the MAC and honestly the parity of all the teams in the MAC?
I think it's extraordinarily competitive. And this is my 15th season in the league. I guess if BPI has us 10th, I know the Ken Pom measurement had us as the 9th best conference in the country. And in my 15 years, I've never once seen the conference ranked as high as 9th. And that's despite coaching in the league with 4 different lottery picks, teams that have gone to the Elite 8, teams that have gone to the Sweet 16. I've never seen us come in 9th, pre or postseason. And I just think it's a great league, and it's better now than people realize because we haven't had a lottery pick or a marquee team. But top to bottom, it's incredibly competitive, and I think you'll see it as the year goes on.
Tayler, for you had to sit out last year. What was the toughest part of being on the bench? The team had a good year, but you go through those losses and you're not able to get out there and help the team on the court. What was the hardest part for you?
The toughest part for me definitely was just to see our team struggle and me not be able to help them at all. I would try to be a big voice on the bench and, celebrate and, be that he talks about +1, being a +1 guy, and just trying to be that because I know that I would want my teammates to cheer for me if they were in the same situation. But, it was tough, seeing us lose some games, and I felt like I could help us and maybe change the impact of the game. But it taught me a lot about myself and about what I need to do.
Now, with that being said, there's a lot of continuity on this year's team, because you were here last year even though you didn't get to play, like Tajay Teague was here last year even though he didn't get to play. Now, this year, having so much continuity from last year, what's the chemistry like of the team?
We have great chemistry because we have great leaders on our team. I'll tell you, Franco House, the amount of respect that all of our guys have for him and the amount of love that we show to him, and he leads us. I feel like I'm a leader on the team, but it's so easy to, have good chemistry when you have guys like Franco to lead us and Francis and collect me as me, I think so. But, Franco leads us, and it shows. He's a grown man, and he helps us out.
He is a grown man. We have a question here from Douglas Linda for you, Coach, asking, what is the most important position on the team?
Well, that's a difficult question because basketball, truly, they're all important. And it's not, like football or whatever else. If you had to say generically speaking, probably would give the edge to the point guard because of his importance of getting everybody organized. But I would give him 20.1% of the importance and everybody else 19.925. It's pretty balanced. Basketball is a pretty even game.
And one important player for you guys will no doubt be Franco House. He was named to the All-MAC West first team in the preseason. What are you looking for from him now as a senior, as a leader of the team, and one of the top scorers last year?
Well, he's worked very hard on his game in the offseason, and we're looking for him to take strides, really two big jobs. On the court, he's able to play facing the basket better than he ever has. He's shooting the ball better than he ever has. He's, I think, more of a true inside-outside threat than he would have been in the past, where he would have been more inside. And that's something that's got to show up on the court, and I'm confident will. And then the biggest thing for him is he's got to continue to lead our team and lead it by example. And you always hear me going back to process. The way he's going to lead our team is by keeping his process outstanding from now until the final whistle blows of the year. And if he keeps his process outstanding from now to then, he's done his job. The rest of it will take care of itself.
Tayler, we've had basketball season start in the NBA in the past week or so. We have college basketball about to start. Are there any players that you like to watch, particularly that you're like, oh, let me see if I can learn something from this guy, or just like to watch?
Definitely. I mean, I love watching, the best NBA players, like Russell Westbrook and obviously the best player on earth, LeBron James. But other than that, I actually like watching guys that have different kind of roles and play like a different kind of game. He coached a guy named T.J. McConnell at Arizona. Danny Peters was I talked to him over the summer. He kind of mentored me and let me know what to do on my off season. I like watching guys like that have a role that I feel like I could put myself in and have the ability to do that at the next level and the way that they impact games, because at that level, and I like watching them too.
Coach, same question over to you. Are there any coaches that you're checking in on, you'd like to see, and maybe you see a play from them and you're like, oh, maybe we need to put that in?
Yeah, there's a lot. I spent the summer studying a lot of Urban Meyer's discussions on leadership. I think he's outstanding in that area. I spent some time this summer following the Detroit Pistons and watching their summer league team both practice and play, as I know their staff and I have great respect for the way they teach. So there's way too many to mention, as much as to just say, I think my job as a coach has got to be, I have to be just as driven to improve as they are. I have to make sure I'm getting better every year, and there's a lot of guys that I certainly can learn from, and I try to when I can.
Tayler, a lot of people don't understand the commitment that goes into the summers for college basketball players, especially D1 players. You're up here for a little while working, but then even when you go back home, I know Coach Witt gives you milestones to hit and things you need to do. Talk about your commitment to your game in the off-season this summer.
I felt like it was very good. I had a lot of deep talks with Coach Witt, and he kind of, he was honest with me, and that helped me out. I had a really good summer. I came back. I was able to run my mile in time, and I didn't slack off. It's very important. If you want to be great, he talks about process a lot, and that's something that I needed to learn. And while coming here was way different than where I was at. And if you want to be great, you have to put in the time, and that's something that our team really is good at, is getting in the gym and getting better. And that's why we've been becoming better and getting more wins.
But did you have any specific numbers that you had to hit? I know some players have talked about a certain number of jump shots, certain number of free throws they had to make.
I had a goal of 20,000 makes from three, and I got that goal. Recently, I had a goal for my body weight, which I just reached here recently, which was really important for me, and it's something that I'm the lowest I've ever been in my life right now, and I owe that all to the coaches being on me and constantly showing me what other guys are and how, for that next level I need to be ready for that.
And Coach, for you, in the summers, you're obviously always trying to get better. I know you're a big process guy, we've said a couple times. What can a coach do to get better during the summers and during the off season?
Well, there's For me, it's a little bit what I mentioned. I went down and watched the Orlando Summer League because I love watching NBA basketball. To me, they're the best of the best at teaching pick and roll, using pick and roll. But I will go back to Taylor's summer and a lot of our guys' summer and say that I have great respect for who Tayler is, because the thing about the summer is we can't mandate any of the time. I get to work out with him 2 hours a week for 8 weeks a year. I get to spend 16 hours a week. 16 hours in the entire summer. That's how much time we're allowed to be in the gym with them. And so they have to set a lot of goals and achieve them on their own, and they really have to be self-motivated to accomplish those things in the summertime. And for Tayler to go from where he was to where he's at about 7% body fat right now, he's about 205, 206 pounds, is an incredible commitment, takes incredible discipline. And the way we're going to be successful is having guys that are really self-motivated and have that self-discipline to accomplish those things in the summer.
Like I said, we're about a week away from the season starting. Are there any games that you have circled, especially? Tayler, I know, IU Kokomo is definitely one of them, I'm sure, for you and a lot of in-state teams. Are there any games you're looking at specifically that you're really excited for?
Honestly, I'm looking forward to every game. It's been so long. To me, I don't ever look at one game being bigger than the other. It's just a game that we need to win. I feel like we can win them all. Definitely, we play a bigger team in Alabama. We get to go to Vegas and play. Those are cool places. But every game to our team means something, and I feel like that's something that every team should strive for, because every game is important for us.
Coach, as we're looking at the schedule now, you guys have 2 games, and then you're going to start in this MGM Grand event, and eventually you'll go to Las Vegas for it. What was important to you to schedule a trip, in this case, going out to Las Vegas?
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. It was a chance to get 2 neutral site games. We're trying to limit the amount of actual true road games we have, but part of that tournament is a chance to go to St. Louis and to Alabama. All 4 of those games are part of the same event, and so we thought those were good games, a great test for us. And then just the finances part of it is we actually get paid for that tournament. We make money because of playing at St. Louis and at Alabama, and we needed that money in order to get some more home games. So there was a lot of factors that went into it, but all in all, it seemed like a good deal for us.
I know how you're going to answer this question, but I want to ask it anyway. If everything breaks right and this team stays healthy and is committed and getting better every day, what's the ceiling for this year's team? The expectations are higher than they've ever been. What's the ceiling for this team?
You know how I'm going to answer it. I just tell you the truth is I could make something up, but the truth is I don't really know. I really don't know. I've coached teams that went to the Sweet 16. I would have never guessed that to start the year. Coached an Arizona team that went to the Elite 8, and I've coached teams I thought would be good that maybe weren't quite as much, and you're always guessing a little bit. So I don't think it's really productive to think that way, because I know this, whatever that ceiling is, and I don't know exactly what it is, but whatever that ceiling is, there's only one way to get there. And that's that when we practice today from 3:30 to 6, to try to have the best practice in college basketball from 3:30 to 6 today. And if you think that way, whatever that ceiling is, it gives you your best chance of reaching it.
All right, well, that's all the time we have here from the Unified Media Lab. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. against UIndy, the exhibition game for the men's basketball team. Thanks for joining us here. Sports Link Live, sponsored by Stoops Buick GMC.